Hey everybody, welcome back. Got a season finale of WandaVision. Mike and Eddie here. We're going to talk about the show, the final episode, you know, cover our thoughts. So let's see how this goes.
I can't wait to do the same in, what, 2 weeks?
Yep. And that's that leads us into sharing a little bit. And I'll add this in the intro too, just in case people don't make it this far. If you did make it this far, I appreciate it.
Hey.
We will be covering Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've had fun doing this, so we love the MCU. We love these shows. So we fully intend to doing that.
Bring me Wolverthor!
All right, so Mike, Eddie, welcome. Good to see you brothers again. How y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Good, how you doing?
Thanks for having us, Thor.
Well, you know, we're all together. You're having me, I'm having you, you know, it's just kind of how it works, right? So WandaVision's over, and there's one thing I want to do that I need to say before we start officially, and that is simply to say that, Mike, I need to listen to you more often. Well done, well said. You know,
Thank
for
you.
every time that I wanted to go into my crazy town, whatever it was, you were like, dude, no, this is like just, it's a TV show. They're going to do all this stuff in the movies. Stop. And I'm like, no. So anyway, kudos to you to having reasonable and good expectations. I think you were pretty smart about that. I was not.
I think the Mandalorian screwed you.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
okay.
a lot of
and
us.
to me, that's one of the things I want to hit with you guys to see what you think. It's like, so obviously a lot of what we did, a lot of what you've seen, I think a lot of what people are talking about too is like, they just had these crazy expectations. And frankly, I am putting a lot of that blame on Paul Bettany and whoever said the Luke Skywalker thing, which I think was also Paul. So
I thought it was her. I thought it was him.
So
Elizabeth
I
Olsen.
think Paul said it, and then I think Elizabeth Olsen was asked on it, and she just said yes.
okay.
Yeah, she backed it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like it was just like a yeah. It was like, so I think it was Paul. Vision really screwed the pooch on this one.
Which is interesting because when you compare, like, if you're a fan of Star Wars, that Luke Skywalker show up was like mind blowing, and like, if you're, how can I explain this? It's not the same thing. Like, it's not even
Not even
it's not even the
close.
same feel for the reveal. It just wasn't. I was like, it's not the same because that was like epic, and this was like, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah, and I don't know enough Star Wars lore, but I'm trying to think of some random dude in the Star Wars universe showing up in the Mandalorian. Like, that's what White
Fett.
Vision is. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. Like, White Vision's cool and stuff, but like, I barely know who White Vision is, and like, I'm a Marvel fan, so it's like, this Luke Skywalker. It really
was-
needed to be like Galactus or something crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
Such
anyway.
high
Listen, he made us want to watch, so you can't. It's good marketing.
But I will say this though, even in those interviews where he was talking about like a big reveal, he was asked about Mephisto and he didn't knock it out of the park. Like, he didn't really say that he couldn't speak on it. So like there might be something there. I'm just gonna say that it might be a thing, but he didn't. He's like, I don't want to say anything more. I might get fired, so he didn't say anything else. So I mean, that might be something still. You
Yeah,
never
but,
know.
but
We might-
they've
Go ahead,
always done that. Like, I think even Mark Ruffalo, they always like do these little like sort of teasers, and they either give you a lot or give you nothing. Like Mark Ruffalo before Infinity War,
Mhm.
he said in an interview, he's like, "We all die."
yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, what?"
And everyone looked at him like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
And, and everyone thought it was like kind of a joke, and it ended up being like a thing.
Yeah.
Partially real.
Yeah, I remember that. And it's just like, what? So yeah, overall, I'll share my feelings overall with the show. You know, if I set back from the expectation situation that I myself put in after Bettany did those things, the show I thought was fantastic. My overarching opinion is great Scarlet Witch origin story. With a lot of stuff to come, you know, and we'll get into that as we talk a little bit. But when I sat back and really looked at it, I was like, yeah, all right, you know, this is cool. So, yeah, that's where, Eddie, where did you kind of land overall, kind of with the show in general?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great. How can I guess, like I said, a bridge about the whole episode. But I think the whole series was a bridge. I mean, like, we got 3 months of solid content every Friday morning and every Thursday night for me. But like that was fantastic, and it was almost like getting a fix for us. Like, okay, we got Marvel in some way, cool. Let's do another one tonight, and we'll do another, we'll do another one next week, and it was great. So on that, I loved it. I thought the writers were amazing. Some of the dialogue in episodes 8 and 9 were some of the best dialogue I think I've ever heard. Like, I aspire to act with those writers. And even in this one, there was some great dialogue. Even though there wasn't as big as reveal as we were hoping for, and I think Paul Bettany's whole stance was just to like create fan hype. Even I think he knew like this won't be as big, but like it's just a good way to like hype up the show. Even though a lot of our fan theories were shot to hell, I still think that I think it delivered. And like you said, Thor, it was a great origin story. So
yeah, no, I hear you. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I like we kind of have said previously. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show. I thought kind of what you said, Eddie. Writing was awesome. I thought the shows being their own individual shows was a really cool thing that really you haven't seen in something like this. And I think having it be a show, I think you were able to do that. Like, I don't think that would have worked in a movie. And honestly, I think you get a new powerful, call it superhero, whatever Scarlet Witch is going to end up being. You know, you lose Black Widow, you lose kind of some of these, and you have like a new person that in these movies I think is going to come out really cool. I also think the shift for Doctor Strange movies and even Avengers down the line, I think it's going to be more catered in the magic realm. And that's where you're going to go rather than like a Thanos or like, I think it's going to be in that base, which I think they can do really cool things, and visually it's going to be awesome. But you know, I thought it was great. You know, we'll talk more about it, but the only thing I would say that I think the show would have been better if it was maybe an hour each episode. Everything just at the end of the day, like the last episode felt super rushed, but I liked it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, you know, the details into the episode, like the witch fight, I thought was cool. Wanda versus Agatha. You know, I'm still a little torn on what Agatha's, you know, final role will be in the MCU. You know, I could see her. She's clearly like a split character, but I thought their fight was interesting. I liked it. I especially liked how, you know, towards the end of their fight, you know, Scarlet Witch learned something. I thought, I just really enjoyed that scene where they were both up in the air and like her runes, Scarlet Witch's runes, were up on the hex. I was like, all right, it felt kind of epic to me. So I liked that fight. And I liked kind of the evolution there, and just how the character arc kept going, and eventually, you know, Wanda was just like, it's almost like celestial being of the MCU, you know, like radiating all her power, pulling all the magic back to her. But, yeah, Eddie, I don't know if you were going to make a comment about something I was going to say there, but where's your thought on that?
I thought that Agatha's role has a lot of parallels to Loki. And
okay,
when you think about it, I feel like she might come back. I mean, honestly, she was fantastic. Like, I would love to see her more in movies. And I think with the route that Mike was talking about, how they might go more of like a magical route, you would want to add her because she adds that little bit of comic relief and that little bit of uncertainty to a movie. Like, she's just present. I think that'd be great. And because, and the way Wanda did her at the end was so cold. That's the coldest move I've ever seen. She was like, "I'll know where to find you." I was like, "Damn."
Yeah,
like,
you just stay right here.
Oh my goodness. And so that was a good move. And like, and that little brooch, she still has on her person after she made her back to the being the nosy neighbor, and it makes it easier for her to find her because she can just point around and go, "That's her."
Yep.
I did love their fight. I love that how Agatha didn't realize that all the things that she was telling Wanda that she should know, she was teaching her in that moment. That was like huge, because then she used all those again at the biggest callback of the moment, episode 9. And yeah, I know Mike's got something, so I'm gonna let you take this one over. Mike, you got it.
No, I was just nodding in agreement where you kind of like, I think we talked about it the last time we spoke on here, where Agatha was talking to Wanda, and especially about like her hex in her cave, and Wanda was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And Agatha just goes through the motions of explaining all her powers and her magic
Right.
to use against her. It was like, it's technically like a dumb villain move, but
Yeah, they do it every single time.
it happens all the time. But no, I thought their fight scene was cool. We can get to it. I thought the Vision fight scene was pretty cool. It was very quick, but I thought it was cool. Vision on Vision, even though it's kind of a fake Vision and a real Vision, but yeah, I thought that, like you said, the hex, the symbols showing up on the hex so she couldn't use her powers was awesome. I think Agatha comes back for sure. I think
well, she has to.
Yeah,
she has to.
I think,
for sure.
like I said, in Doctor Strange, I think we're going into a crazy world with Scarlet Witch in it, and she's, even if it's a small cameo, or even, if Ralph is who we've talked about in our theories, gets her, brings her back, I think she's a good opponent for Wanda.
No, I agree.
Right, because even before Wanda officially made her the nosy neighbor, she was like, you have no idea like what these powers are, like you have no idea what you did. And I feel like Strange, there's a chance, I'm just theorizing, probably gonna be wrong, there's a chance that one of them probably will be in contact with her to figure out something to use either against Wanda or with Wanda, one of the two. But I feel like having her in for just 9 episodes of this show would just be a smack in the mouth, because she was just so good. And
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean, the character, the writing for the character, the acting, Catherine Hahn, like I thought she did really well. And I agree, like the comments that I picked up the most is, it seemed like Agatha's like, you don't know what you've released. And that's the part where, we did talk about like Chthon a little bit, and that's where I wonder if he starts weaving himself, or it starts weaving itself into the MCU somewhere. Maybe, I don't know if it's a Thanos-esque villain, but something along those lines. And where
that
he
might
just
land on what's your boy's name? Kang the Conqueror.
Oh yeah, but
I think he's the next like Thanos baddie.
Yeah, and he's in the Ant-Man one. I forget what's it.
Quantum something.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called.
Man, why can't I remember that? But anyway, whatever.
Quantum Mania, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah.
So we've got these characters kind of like floating around, but I did like where it was like, all right, she's clearly set something up here saying you don't know what you've done. So we'll see that. Mike mentioned White Vision. He talked about that fight a little bit. I mean, one of the things I really liked about that was two things. Was the philosophical discussion about, was it the boat of Theseus? Is I think
Boat of Theseus, yeah. That was really cool.
And honestly, truth is when I watched it for the first time, I was like, what is it? What is he saying? I'm like, are there some theoretical thing they're discussing here? I have no clue what this is. And then I saw it the second time. I'm like, all right. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, this is actually a deep question.
It is really.
And I'm like, oh, I like this. So I thought that was dope. I love the fight scene, and I love how they debated that. And at the end, White Vision basically takes on the memories from Hex Vision, and flies away. TBD, what's going to happen there, but clearly going to show up again at some point. So. Mike, I know you already talked about the White Vision fight a little bit, but I don't know, what else do you have that you picked up from the Vision just in this show in general, and then that sequence?
Yeah, no, pretty much like I said, I thought it was a cool fight scene. I like the look of White Vision. I think if that's going to be the new look going forward, I think it is a pretty cool. I don't mind the red and the coloring of normal Vision, but just something about him being all white is just kind of really badass and the different crystal that's on his head. But he's got to come back in some form. I mean, he's now got real Vision's memories, so theoretically he should be basically have the same mindset as the original Vision of how he wanted to help humanity and help people and be a superhero and all that. So it should be interesting how they do it. But yeah, the Vision fight scenes where he can like fade, they're phasing through each other or through the ground, like all that stuff is super cool. I don't know why. It's super cool. Cheesy, but it's super cool. Just him reaching out of the ground, it's awesome.
Yeah, I didn't realize this until after that show, that it's like the stab that Corvus Glaive did in Infinity War that kept Vision from phasing. That fight is totally different if that one stab doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Because like Vision would never, Thanos wouldn't be able to touch him. You know, I'm sure there's something with the gauntlet and all that maybe he could do, but if he's unable to, anyway. So I just thought about that. But Eddie, did you have anything else to add with the Vision, just in general, in the fight sequence, etc.?
Of course, the Vision on Vision fight was super dope. Like Mike said, I thought it was great how like how it started. You know, Wanda kind of goes to White Vision, is like, "Oh my God, is it you?" And then he like grabs her by the head, and it felt so like the bone cracking sound was insane. I'm like, he's gonna crush her head. Like, this is insane. And then you see Vision, who was missing for 3 episodes, just out of nowhere, just boom, like, and that was great. And then White Vision pulls like a Terminator move coming out of the fire. You know, oh my God, that was very like creepy.
I didn't think about that, but it's so true.
And then the moment. It was cool how, like Mike said, like White Vision kept learning all the moves that Vision would have. Like the phasing thing, he only used after he learned it earlier in that moment. Like he never used it like before that, and that was super sick. And I thought it was really interesting how like when he went to kill Hex Vision, he went for the stone first, which I was like, wow, that's a cool move. I was like, wow, you're gonna do that first. Okay, great. And then
Vision's comment to that, he's like, I know this move.
Right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and phase out of this one. Like that was smart.
Like, I've been here before, buddy. No way.
Can't pull the same move twice, but and then the discussion in the library was like, it would have felt weird to most people, but it makes sense. Like that would be the fight that they have, because like it's two like, you know, like really thought provoking sentient beings having a very thought out discussion about like how memories and how a personality works, and you know, and with using the boat of Theseus as their base, it was just like a really smart move. And then it was just weird how like he almost did the same move that Ultron did, or that he did on Ultron when he like grabbed his head and kind of phased him out of the internet. Oh yeah. But instead he gave his memories back to White Vision, and then the dude just went deuces, and that was it. And I was like, oh, where is it? Like, what?
Vision.
All these unanswered questions.
He left so fast the first time I watched it. I was like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
And Vision was like, all right, cool. I was like, wait a minute, wait.
See you later.
That was pretty, but yeah, I thought their little back and forth was pretty fun.
Yeah. And then really the rest of the episode was kind of like, we have Hayward, Mike's favorite character, the kids, you know, a little scene there. I don't know what Monica Rambeau's official superhero name is going to be, but not that we ever, you know, didn't realize what was happening there, but it's pretty clear that she's becoming and is something epic at this point. So we'll call her Photon for now, but I don't know, anything that from like whether the kids fighting the FBI to, you know, just, I guess the part that I'm going to say is that this is where it turned to me a little bit of like sad, heart-wrenching character building for Wanda, because the part, I mean, look, we can get into all the details of how cool the stuff I just said was, but the part that I really liked from this point of the episode on was that Wanda had this juxtaposition of a position or a thought and decision to make between Vision and her kids and the people of Westview. And she watched Vision and her kids start that House of M style, where like they started disappearing a little bit in little Tetris pieces and letting these people go. And she saw the pain they were in when they all came and circled her. And just like that type of thing, I thought, like, I don't know about you guys, but before the show, like Scarlet Witch, yeah, she's cool, whatever. I am super invested in Scarlet Witch at this point. Like, I'm just like, I care so much about her character. I want to see her arc. I don't know. I just, that's where it started pulling from the heartstrings for me. So, you know, Mike, I don't know, either one of you guys, give me some, what do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I think kind of, and we've talked about this before, but she had kind of a weird character because she wasn't really a superhero. She kind of was a villain at one point. Like, she didn't really have like a real, like an identity. Yeah. You know, and I think her taking on this identity and becoming this super powerful thing that I think she doesn't understand yet and is trying to, and I think when we talk about the very end, I think she's trying to learn more and more about what she is, because she's seen her future, but she may not understand what that future is. And I think fully embracing it, I think is a very cool thing. And like you said, the very House of M where the kids are all deteriorating. Like, she had to choose. She had to choose between, literally, she could go on the rest of days controlling these people and making their lives miserable, be selfish, or she can do the right thing like she's done before when she was, you know, a superhero with the Avengers, of trying to save the world and save people, and be like, you know what, my pain, I'll handle my own pain. And who's to say you know, she's not going to try to figure out a way to bring them back. But it was a very kind of cool moment. It shows how powerful she is now, especially.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Eddie?
I loved how when Agatha unhooks Dottie, and she's like, "My name is Sarah. I have a daughter. If she could just, you know, if I could just hold her for 5 minutes, like she could be, you know, one of the girls and like who's a bully." But like she starts to like plead her case, and when Wanda is surrounded by all the townspeople, you get that feeling of like when Thanos did it, when Loki did it, when Ultron did it, where like everything that they think they're doing is good for is good for them, is good for the people. And I'm making things better. I'm relieving you of your pain, yada yada yada. But like you're taking away the one thing that makes people, and that's free will. When you take that away, then we're all slaves essentially. Like, we don't have the option to be anything else. And so like that moment was kind of a very like villainous moment, because even Agatha said, she was like, you know, real heroes wouldn't do this. And you know, I was like, I was torn, because like we've watched Wanda through what, 4 movies or 5 movies, and we're like, oh yeah, like I'm totally with her. She was a baddie, and now she's a good guy. But she struggles on which side she's on, like Mike said. And I think that moment there was like, you stepped into a world, now you're like you're the villain now. And it's hard to accept, because like she's super awesome, like she's great. And I think with all the pain though, it's hard to internalize it and then kind of keep it housed without letting out something at some point. So
no, I agree.
But yeah, that seems really cool too.
Yeah, and you know, obviously we got the confirmation it was the Darkhold, not the Necronomicon or whatever else, you know, could have been theorized. And we'll get into that a little bit. You know, Hayward is what he is. Mike was right all along. He just sucks. He's a bad person.
Oh, before we go any further, you mentioned the Darkhold. The scene where Agatha's on the rooftop and she's talking about the Darkhold, and she said, the Scarlet Witch is not born, she is forged. She has no covenant and no need for incantation. And then she said her power exceeds the Sorcerer Supreme. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I was like, wait a minute, wait, go back. And because if you think back to Endgame, when Hulk meets with the Ancient One, she says Strange is meant to be the best of us, and you're like, okay, so who's right then? Like who's right on this particular talking point? And like when Multiverse of Madness comes out, I'm going to be really intrigued to see, like, I mean, obviously the hero's going to win. I mean, we think that's going to happen, but like if that were the case, I would love to see what Strange does, because there are certain things that Wanda's already doing that Strange Strange wasn't doing early on in his thing, and I think we'll get to that once we get to that end credit scene. We'll talk about that. Well,
and to that specific point, Eddie, the idea of the best of us or the strongest of us, I think the Ancient One meant it amongst like that crew, like the mystic dark arts people, not necessarily like the best of all of humanity or mutants or mutates or whatever.
Yeah, I think and that's what I meant too. I meant like if she says like he's meant to be the best of us, I'm assuming anybody that deals in magic, whether it be dark magic or whatever. That's what I was referring to. Not to be confused. I'm sorry, Mike, you were saying.
Yeah.
No. I was just saying. I think it was along the lines of someone who's going to watch, you know, like protect their world like he's doing. But I'm with you. That doesn't mean, with any of these, it doesn't mean someone's not more powerful than him or anyone, because that's the whole point of these movies. There's someone who can meet eye for eye, or you know, can compete with that person. So it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, I feel you. So let's see, what else do we have in this episode that we haven't hit yet? We got Hayward. We never saw the Arrow Engineer. I had this whole list of stuff that was like what actually got hit and what didn't, you know, as far as like fan theories. So the missing person, there's theories out there, we don't really know. Well, actually, before we get into that, tell me what you guys think. Ralph Boner. Ralph Boner. So first off, I never expected a D joke in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's there. Maybe there was one before that I never picked up on. But I was kind of like, and he's like, Boner. I'm like, what just happened? So look, I don't know if he's the missing person or not. I don't know if he's Quicksilver or not. I don't know what he is. But give me something. Where'd you guys land on that one?
Mike, you want it?
Yeah, I think we talked about this separately, and I think I said one. I think he's the witness protection dude. I think he's the dude that they were talking about that's in there. I think the reason why he has that name is someone in witness protection making their own funny, ridiculous name. It just like makes sense because he even laughed at his own name. So, you know, I think that was him, and I think Agatha just used him as a pawn. I think there's an Easter egg for all us fans, us knowing that actor is Quicksilver in a different universe, in X-Men world. So I think it's a good job by the writers and directors and producers as like being like, this will be fun. It was like a fun cameo sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I really don't think he's going to be Quicksilver in this universe, is actually Quicksilver. I think they used him as a nice little Easter egg and funny thing. And he's just a dude in witness protection. And that's what he'll be, you know, when the Hex... Since the Hex is gone, that's what he is, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my theory on it.
What about you, Eddie?
I have a different theory.
Oh.
Hear me out.
All right.
I saw one today that actually makes a lot of sense. So I feel like the mailman delivery guy is the witness protection guy. Mainly because of the line he always says when you see somebody, don't shoot, I'm just a messenger, which sounds like something that somebody would say if they were like just like delivering a message to like a mob boss or whatever. Like, I'm just a messenger, like don't kill it. He seems like that kind of guy. And with Ralph, I can't imagine that he would be in witness protection as an actor. If you make a headshot and make yourself known, that's the last thing you want to do in witness protection, is be seen by anybody. Because then people have an idea that you're alive or you're still around somewhere.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if that really works. I did find it interesting though. I mentioned this in the group chat. I felt like I got Iron Man 3'd in this last episode, because in Iron Man 3 there was a moment where you think that what's his name is the Mandarin, and then you find out he's an actor, and you're like, damn. And then you find out that the other guy is the Mandarin, quote unquote. Yeah. And then oh my god, wait, Quicksilver. Oh, I'm just an actor. I'm like, oh my god. Like, I feel like we fall for this every single time, and I just like, oh yeah, it's great. No, it's not what I thought it was.
Yep.
And they every single time. But again, I wasn't mad at it. I thought it was hysterical. He did a great job, and I think he put up an interview, something small, like he said it was really great to be on there and like work with those guys. So it sounds like the way he said it sounds like he's not going to be coming back in that regard. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I mean, like what he said sounded very final. Yeah. So that was okay. I mean, like, just it was cool just to see his powers work and operate. And if we could go back, like we were talking about like the kids who were handling the military earlier on. I wanted to comment on that before. Yeah. There were subtle nods to Quicksilver from Days of Future Past when he was like going around moving all the guns around, and then he stole one guy's hat and put it on, and I thought they were just like all like just they do so many subtle nods to other things from other movies, like even when Wanda threw the car at Agatha, like her shoes were there, like, and like the Wizard of Oz. That was awesome. Great. Like those small things like that just make the show amazing. Yeah. And but like Ralph's thing. There were so many theories, and then they just were like, nah, we're gonna smash this idea, and you're like, but and also the rabbit, dude, what happened to the rabbit? Oh yes,
thank you. Like, seriously, like how is that just like nothing? I'm like, no, you can't. Like that thing ate a little bird. Like you're just gonna leave that by? All right, whatever.
It was in every episode, as far as I remember. Like. Every episode, and then it just goes away, like it never was there. I don't know, man. I can't get behind that idea. I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think I had that. Like, I got a bunch of notes that I'm looking down at. Oh no, I did have it on there, but I was just like, you literally have no clue what that thing was. None. It was just some bunny that ate birds. It's like, all right.
Does she get to keep the rabbit now? Because when Wanda made her just a normal citizen who happens to be the nosy neighbor, I'm assuming the rabbit is still there, and I'm assuming the rabbit is still.
I mean, she's gonna live in that house, probably.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or does she have to move because it's Ralph Boner's house and she can't live there and she's got to find her own place? She just went to Ralph's house. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, where is she gonna go? I don't even know.
Oh goodness.
So and then I think that's is there anything from the regular episode we're missing? I mentioned that we never got the aerospace engineer. We did get that's the first cutscene, so we'll get to that. Or was the scroll on the cutscene, or was that at the end of the episode? Is that
Cutscene.
All right. So was
Doesn't
there
make
before we
Chris.
get to the cutscene? Is there anything else that we missed in the episode that we didn't cover?
Oh, the only thing I will say I didn't like how Hayward got taken out with
I get
it,
with
though.
Cat all of a sudden finally showing up and just hitting him with the car, and then that was it.
Same thing with
I thought
Vision,
that
though.
was like, what's that?
It was
I know, but I
it was
thought
the same thing with Vision. Like they just showed up after like 2 or 3 episodes, and you're like, oh, they were still there. Great. Like
Yeah, I just thought it was very anticlimactic, and I thought it was like almost not a disservice to her, but like she wasn't in like a few episodes. Like she was just driving back to Westview in that little van stuck there. It was just one of those things where like she showed up last second, and that was it. It was just, and then she disappeared once everything was.
Keep going. I want to hear what you have to say about that, Mike.
I it didn't make like none of it just made sense. It was one of those things where again I think this episode was super rushed. I think like for her to be like, oh, I don't like narc or talk to the feds or whatever her excuse
debriefing or
was,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it was like you were just working for them for like the very beginning. All of a sudden you can't get debriefed. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
like,
that
Is
was
she in Love
weird
and
to me.
Thunder?
What's that?
Is she in Love and Thunder?
I don't know if it's confirmed if she is, but it would make sense if she is.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, you guys can keep going.
But yeah, it was just one of those things where I think her and I think her character was very good in the very beginning, and she was a part of it, and then all of a sudden like it was just a quick boom. She catches Hayward or takes him out, and then she disappears, and then because
Like White
she
Vision.
doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought it was just kind of like too quick, especially because I think her, Monica, and what's the other
Wu?
detective's name? Wu. I
Oh,
think
yeah, we
they
gotta
just
talk
seemed
about
like
Wu
a
before we
good.
move on.
Yeah. They were just seemed like a good trio,
Yeah.
and then it just like didn't matter anymore. But that's me. That's all I have to say.
No, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. If I may.
Yeah, hit it.
Yeah, her when she came out of there with the truck, I was like, oh, okay, that's random. it was, and again, like Mike said, it was kind of a disservice to Hayward to end like that way. Like that was such like a crap ending. That could have gone like a multitude of ways, and you chose to go with that. Like, okay, all right, I would have
Yeah.
gone somewhere else with that.
Yeah.
Like I would have rather he almost gotten away, and they had to deal with it later. Like I would have loved that. And I forgot that when you go through the hex, you maintain the properties of whatever you went in with. So like technically, what she hit him with wasn't the funnel; it was like that big tanker truck. So that was
Oh,
cool.
that's right.
I want to talk about real quick Vision and some of the dialogue that he has in this. He said he was telling the White Vision that memory is a source of identity, right? And then the line he gave Wanda at the end where he said, "A voice with no body, a body but not human, and a memory made real." Like,
Vision talks sexy.
he does.
Vision-
Man, his way of
Vision-
words. He can
Vision
seduce
talk
me.
like-
I
He's a wordsmith. He can talk the pants off me.
thank you. It is unbelievable. Like his dialogue was so good. And then her response back to him, you know, like you're the wires and the blood that made this, but most of like you're my heart, you're my soul, but like you're my happiness. Like I was like, this is like so like their love is legit, and I would love it if somehow it could work out with that. I don't know how. Maybe through White Vision it'd be a different thing entirely though. But like, that was incredible. I also loved Billy, how he can see the future. Like he saw his mom about to have that breakdown with the townspeople and like have his brother, like had him and his brother just start running out there. Like that's a cool power. Like I mean, even if his ability to see the future is only in moments, like a few seconds before, a few minutes before, that's pretty dope. Trying to think of, I have another note here I wanted to talk about. I think that might be it.
While you're thinking about that, let me add to your White Vision love story thing is,
please.
like, I definitely, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but that, I mentioned it in the regards to Scarlet Witch and not really caring about that character, but similarly, I didn't really care about their love story. And I was like, yeah, how does this happen? Like, are we really buying this? Like, you're in Europe and okay, I guess. And after this, you're kind of like, no, this is like the MCU couple. Like, I'm like, who else in the MCU? I mean, even Ant-Man and Wasp, I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Ruffalo and Scarlett Johansson, sorry, that was cute, but just let's put that somewhere else.
Well, she's dead now, so that's relevant.
Well, that's true too. But I mean, just like of all the love stories in the MCU, you know, and I'm okay saying, like, I care about romance, you know, and it gets my wife into it too, and I like it, and, you know, got a soft heart. This is the relationship I think I care most about, you know, and I think it was because of some of that dialogue, like you guys are saying, like he's going to talk the pants off of everybody, and you know, juxtapositioning that to where it was before, I didn't care. So I definitely think that this show nailed it in that regard. So yeah, that's all. I just wanted to add that.
I really agree with you on that, because like even when he saved her in Age of Ultron, he gave her a look that was like, oh, like you didn't really like, we kind of thought, okay, well, they have a relationship in the comics, but they probably won't like expound on this.
Yeah.
And then they did. You're like, oh, but then like they made it so deep. I was like, I didn't expect this at all, like because they haven't done that yet. And God, I'm just so passionate. I'm like jealous. I wish I could find something like that. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Also, if I ever like get married, I'm like saving all those vision lines. And
Yes,
like,
dude.
hopefully like the girl that I'm with like doesn't like watch WandaVision ever, because I'm plagiarizing the crap out of everything he said.
My goodness. I was like, he's killing it. He's killing it. These writers are so good. Oh my gosh.
No
So
doubt
good.
about it. So no, I agree. And Johnny Woo.
Oh, sorry.
No, hit
One more thing.
it.
Towards the end, when she puts them to bed before the Hex comes and takes everybody, she says, "Thanks for choosing me to be your mom."
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, choosing. Okay. That's interesting that you would say those words in that exact order, because she created them technically.
Yeah.
In the Hex, but also, and we'll get to it towards the end credit scene. But I just thought her words were very specific in saying choosing me to be your mom. That's why I just want to throw that out there.
No, that's I'll chime in if Mike, you get something on it, but
The only thing that I take from that is that makes me partially think that she didn't create them.
Right.
That they're like, I think even though they existed in the Hex, I think they're real. And we can go to the very end at some point, but it gives off a vibe, that way she worded it, for sure. I agree with you, Eddie, where it's not, she didn't come up with them and they don't look how they look because she like just thought of it. Like, I think that maybe unknowingly her using her magic, they did choose her, you know, and whatever this magical world that they're going through. But I'm with you. I think it's for sure something to keep in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
I picked up on the word. You guys hit everything I'd say there. So, but I definitely, Eddie, that's a good call out, because that word was kind of like, wait, what? Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. So, and we'll get to how that ties with the final end credit scene. But Johnny Woo, I will just say that oddly one of my favorite characters in the show, surprisingly, and he obviously had some sleight of hand in this, just grabbing the phone, and I think that was a MacGyver pull he had. Was that a some sort of safety pin that he used to unlock those handcuffs?
He had a safety pin.
That's what I thought. That's
Genius.
what I thought. I was kind of like, all right, Johnny, I see you. All right, I like you.
I hope that he becomes the new Coulson. That'd be great.
Well, they hinted that's what it hinted at.
Oh yeah, I'll take that.
Well, I think at the very end, don't they offer him a job at Sword?
I don't remember. I know he's like running the show, and yeah.
Right, I know but I thought, and I could be misremembering, but I thought that they had a conversation about bringing him onto Sword and like taking the place of Hayward.
I would love that.
I do not remember that at all. So you might have dreamt that.
I might have dreamt that.
Yeah. He does have
he's awesome.
Yeah, he does have a tie into the comics with, I want to say it's Atlas or something. And I don't know the lore of the comics, so I'm not going to try to expound on that, but he does have comic roles. So I could see him being kind of a Coulson type, or them realizing like, look, we got something here with this guy. People want to see him in more content, so let's do it.
Right. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they obviously got the formula with Coulson, and I would ask them to be patient with Wu as well. Like if they just did it immediately, I'd be like, careful here. I feel like he needs to be built up a little bit more, but
right.
I don't know. We'll see. So I just wanted to give Johnny a shout out.
Even if it was cameos, I think he would be fun, because I think he's just so funny. Like even when he's in Ant-Man 2, I believe it is. Like,
Mhm.
like his little spots in there. He's just a very good comedic actor.
He really is.
He doesn't. And I don't. It's not that he doesn't do much. It's just even in the little things he does or says are just funny.
Right.
Because it's just so dry and witty and like just like simple, but it makes you like giggle no matter what.
I agree. So he's the start of the first cutscene, I think, where Monica just says, hey, leadership looks good on you or whatever she says, and then she goes into the theater with that other agent. I don't remember if she was FBI or whatever. She turns into a scroll. She says you've been grounded. He wants to see you. I think that's obviously Fury up in space, given the cutscene from Far From Home. So I'm assuming she's going to meet Fury up at the Sword space station.
Which is a nice throwback to their conversation in Captain Marvel.
What was their so expound on that, Eddie.
It was I think it was talking about like Maria going up there with Captain Marvel, and she goes, "Wow, Mom will join you." He's like, "Only if you have powers like your like your Aunt Carol."
Oh, that's
right. It was a nice little like callback, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude!" Like, that's such
I didn't
a
even
good play,
think
dude.
of that. Wow.
Because they mentioned it when she's going through the hex, like they have all those memories that she's going through, and that was one of the lines that they put in that moment, and
okay.
it was a nice payoff at the end. That was great.
That's
that was
true.
Lovely, man.
That's true.
Yeah. By the way, my memory makes me think of I took Monica talking to Wu as her offering him a job at Sword.
Oh,
Gotcha.
I got you. And you know
he
what?
was like, "Oh, I have a job. I'm with the FBI." But because to me, it looks like Monica is taking over for Hayward. Or
right.
It could happen. It could.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me think that she was trying to bring him in. That's where my memory of it was.
Okay.
That's where I thought.
And I can see it. Yeah. And, there was that line in one of the earlier episodes where Hayward and her were talking, and he was saying what would have been you if you were here to Monica. So,
right.
That makes sense if she does do something with potentially taking over Sword. But, so that there wasn't much. I mean, I was kind of like, all right, that's cool. I like it. I didn't even think about the tie-in until Eddie just mentioned it, and that makes it even more dope, honestly. So digging that.
So great.
By the way, does that set up Captain Marvel 2 for Monica, or does that set up the Invasion, the other show that's
Secret
coming?
Invasion?
Yeah.
Yes to both those
I
questions.
think, yeah.
Invasion?
I think Eddie's
I'm
right.
gonna say yes
Captain
to both those
Marvel.
questions.
Yep. Yes and yes is my
Yes
guess.
and yes.
Yep. So
I'm not even gonna begin to theorize. I just feel like that it has to for both because the scrolls are inadvertently tied to Captain Marvel, so I feel like they have to be.
yeah, and is that a TV show or a movie? The
I
Secret
believe it's a
Invasion.
TV show.
Invasions will be a series, I
Is it?
think,
Okay.
and then Marvel's a movie.
Okay. All right.
I think. I kind of want to find out now. I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't remember. So
Eddie can look, but I think
gotcha.
that's what it is.
okay. And as we move to the final cutscene, flying into the mountains, and there's some talk about are those the same mountains? And I forget the name of them where her Scarlet Witch's true origin story kind of came from. You see this cabin, Scarlet Witch is there. She's just, cooking up some tea. And I think, Mike, you mentioned it earlier. She's, in the astral plane, similar to Doctor Strange, learning from the Darkhold, and also just sipping on some tea, chilling. So, huge setup. There's obviously the take at the end, which we'll get to, but I don't know. When you were seeing that, what kind of came across your mind a little bit there, Mike? Anything that you were really into, or?
My first thought on that scene, and this is going to be somewhat random, but it 100% reminded me of the end of the Hulk with Edward Norton, where at the very end, he's like, he's sitting in a cabin, and then he's like breathing, and then the clock goes back like days of not being Hulk, like 0. Like that's the first thing I don't know why, but it was very visually almost the same thing. I thought it was the same cabin, but the mountains in the distance kind of made me change my mind, but it was very much that same thing. And then I don't know if we're talking about it, but it was interesting where I think her drinking and sipping the tea wasn't really her, it was what she was projecting. And she was just really, I think that was like her learning magic, because she's sitting in the back room reading the Darkhold, and I think she's practicing. So I thought it was super cool scene, and again, I think that's for sure. One thing I also want to say, and I haven't mentioned it yet, is I think her costume,
Fire.
she looks great. She looks great. It's a cool costume. It works. But I thought it was a very cool scene where she's just sitting like in the back, just reading the Darkhold. And who knows what messed up stuff could come from it.
Yeah.
But I think, I said from the very beginning, I don't think we were going to get some crazy ending. I think it's a bridge. All these shows are going to be bridges to different things. And that perfectly sets up what will be Doctor Strange. So I was happy with it. It was cool. I liked it. That was pretty much it.
Yes.
What about you, Eddie?
Oh gosh, I love this scene. Okay, I have so many things I want to say. So, what I found interesting about the scene is you're flying in from who knows where. She's outside the cabin. She gets tea, pours it into the cup. You go into the back, and she's really back there going through the Darkhold. You're like, dope. Okay, this reminds me of Doctor Strange when he was asleep, having an astral projection of himself, reading magic, which I was like, that's dope. But she's doing it on a level that's beyond him, and that was in his early years, right? Because it seems like whenever anybody in that movie, Doctor Strange, had went into their astral self, they were in some ways unconscious. But she's doing it while she's awake, and that's like another level. Also, it was crazy. I was like, there's no way she did, because when she poured the tea, it was from a metal teapot, and she grabbed that thing by the handle. I was like, oh, that's kind of hot, bro. Like, she just went, that's cool, tea, it's fine, whatever. But yeah, like, I mean, she's already on a different level. She's doing astral projection, and it looks clean, and it's visible, and she can do it while she's awake. And you're like, yo. And that was pretty deep. And she's reading the Darkhold, and then it gets even weirder from there. Real quick, I want to say one thing. The Disney Plus series, it will be Secret Invasion will be a series. Okay. And then Captain Marvel's a movie. Anyway, yeah. And then you hear her kids screaming in the background, and then it cuts.
Yeah, I forgot to.
Yeah, and then it cuts to black, and you're like, hold up. And then when I heard that, my first thought for that was Into the Spider-Verse. It was the same thing that Kingpin was doing to get Vanessa back, and you were like, if that's what Multiverse of Madness is going to be, I'm absolutely on board. Like, I'm absolutely, because that was a great movie. Yeah. And but I mean, that's kind of what it signifies. That's kind of what it signals to me, is that like she's going to go through multiverses to like try and find her family in some way, shape, or form. I feel like that's going to somehow be part of the plot. I mean, you teased at it again, so I would hope that it is.
Does Elizabeth Olsen have a cameo in Spider-Man?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I'm like, I was watching something or thinking about something where I just knew that I thought that somehow they were going to tie her into Spider-Man, but maybe I'm wrong. Because
I mean, they're tying Doctor Strange into Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Right.
He's going to be the new mentor to Spider-Man. At least that's what they're saying. So he's going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. I think. Yeah. So if he's tied to it, and depending on what goes on in Doctor Strange, she could be correlated as well. You know.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I feel, and that pretty much wrapped up the show. I mean, it ended up with that. Like I mentioned earlier, my overarching, I liked it. Good origin story. We covered it, in detail, and some overarching things. Before we get out of here, do you guys have any other comments on this show or series that you want to share?
I'll finish it quick. I thought it was super original. I thought what they did was creative, entertaining. Made me want to watch it every week. I mean, if they're gonna do this with all these different TV shows, then I'm never gonna have a life.
The dating is out the door.
And also I really do like that if they are gonna be this good, that they're every week, where it like leaves me wanting more every week. But I will say, if they do WandaVision show again, if there is another season, they should make them an hour. I think. I think for what they were doing, it made sense for being as short as it was. But my only harp on it was the very end felt so rushed, and I felt like if those episodes were longer, it wouldn't have felt as rushed as it did. But that's me.
I feel you.
Right.
But A+ show.
Yeah. Eddie, you got anything?
Of course. I agree with Mike. I thought it was very well done. I didn't expect the writing to be so deep. I really didn't. I mean, from the first couple episodes, you're okay, cool, they're a married couple, and you're seeing the thing. But then, like in the last three, it was just like, man, like you really get to see how in love they were, and just the words they used were so well written, and it was just like it was intricate and beautiful. And I agree with Mike though. Like if they were to bring it back, which I don't think they would, I don't know how they could. I would definitely prefer an hour, even like 45 minutes base to be like every episode would just be perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the end felt kind of quick. But I thought it was a quality show. I look forward to it every week. And I can't wait to do the same in 2 weeks.
Yep. And that's that leads us into sharing a little bit. And I'll add this in the intro too, just in case people don't make it this far. If you did make it this far, I appreciate it.
Hey.
We will be covering Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've had fun doing this, so we love the MCU. We love these shows. So we fully intend to doing that. And oddly enough, we're gonna be shooting our whatever right after this, so yeah, looking forward to talking. I mean, look, the truth is, you and I, all of us love talking about this so much that it's like, all right, we're gonna do this, so might as well just keep doing it, right? So
Might as well keep doing it.
yeah, right. So appreciate everybody stopping by. Hammer down on that like button, click the notification bell, subscription button, all that deal, and we'll see you guys soon. And hopefully this you guys check out the Falcon and Winter Soldier stuff. And until next time, we hope you guys have a wonderful day. See ya.